Good afternoon to all. Welcome to Euro-Mediterranean Economists Association event on the future of Catalan Brain Plan based on the Brain Capital Alliance. So this event is convened by the Euro-Mediterranean Economists Association in collaboration with WeMind cluster, which is the Catalonia Mental Health Cluster based in Barcelona, with also the support of the Brain Capital Alliance and the Brain Economy Hub in the framework of this event on the Health Revolution Congress. So this is a great opportunity to have this collaboration also together with Improfit, who have been really convening this overall event here within the Barcelona Health Hub. So let me say a few words about this initiative that we are trying to discuss today, which is really trying to think about a brain economy plan for Catalonia and why brain capital matters. So first of all, let me try with giving you an overview on the brain capital. Brain capital is a concept that we have developed together with our colleagues. Here you can connected Harris, Ayer, and other colleagues within the neuropolicy initiative that has been developed by the OECD many years ago. And the Euro-Mediterranean Economists Association has been part of this, developing the overall thinking on this new framework. So as a think tank, and also we are trying to have specific initiatives on this thinking, we are trying really to move into an economy that is brain positive, which allows different things to be connected, mainly mental health, brain health, but also brain skills within the understanding of all the drivers which are connected to an overall economy. So the economy is not only based on physical or financial capital, which is normally is, I mean, that's our economic models, but really putting on the center the brain in the construction. And this is what allowed us, together with our colleagues, to think how can the brain become the central point of our thinking within our economic models and economic policy overall. And we've been working together with a group of different scientists in different disciplines to have a common understanding of what brain capital and brain economy is. And this is something that we've been busy, economists, neuroscientists, psychiatrists, public policy people, and either an expert in finance and others. Now, we have also a great opportunity to have a strategic partnership with WeMind cluster. WeMind is a mental health cluster in Catalonia, and Marta will explain a little bit more about what they do. And this is really a great collaboration and multidisciplinary collaboration that we think this will bring value in terms of productivity, in terms of innovation, in terms of economic growth, and also overall resilience and societal justice. And I think this is also important to think that we are moving with different, I would say, challenges in our societies, and we need to have solutions that are much more complex and connected to system thinking, in fact. And quite interestingly, I'm reading a book about the system thinking of life, and this has been for many years. I mean, 1988, and it's really quite interesting to see that many scientists and economists have been thinking about this for many years. So this is not new. We are, in reality, not reinventing the wheel, but we are trying to put things in place from a system thinking perspective. So it means that economists alone, or eventually neuroscientists alone, may not have the answer, but if we work all together, it would be interesting to find certain solutions for those societal challenges that we are facing. So this is what I've been saying here. The brain capital is in the center of different disciplines. as you can see here. And we call it brain capital, but many people ask me, why capital? I mean, are we making money out of brain? This is not the whole idea. The whole idea is to put brain in the center. And then as economists, we need to have a matrix to be able to measure. Sometimes numbers, it's not enough. We need to go beyond numbers. I always say it. But then we need to have a reference model on the basis of which we can build our economic models. And this is really in the center of economic, as I said, public policy, health, neuroscience, psychology, and behavioral science. So it means that we're trying to work all together, have the common understanding and common way of communicating to be able to build this brain positive transition that Harris will explain a bit more about it later on. So our really thinking is to have forward-looking solutions to allow us to understand a little bit what the future would be. So since 2022, particularly after the COVID-19 crisis, we've been thinking that certainly our healthcare policies are not really responding to the challenges that we are facing. And then we tried really to think on a systemic basis. And of course, we need to define, although sometimes definitions, it's a little bit restrictive. But this is the first way to start understanding and measuring what we want to do. So of course, here brain capital is the connection or interconnection between brain health and brain skills, plus also better understanding the brain capital drivers that will allow us to measure what we want to measure. And also we build the brain capital dashboard that my colleague Tiago will be explaining a little bit further later on. So here you can see that acting on brain capital means we can act on the boosters and also try to reduce the impediments and enhance brain capital, or sometimes if there is nothing to be done, the brain capital of a country, of a group, could deteriorate. So we need to really have proactive policies that will allow us to enhance our brain capabilities, brain health and brain skills over the lifespan of the population. And these are, in fact, trying to act on the drivers. So these drivers are also on the physical, for example, digitalization, healthcare, infrastructure, but also a proactive approach on how we live overall and how we take our brain as an asset that we need to maintain over time, but at the same time also to ensure that we are reaching our full potential, not only in terms of health, but also in terms of skills. And thereby, the brain capital becomes the center of a brain economy. And the brain economy means it gives a lot of possibilities to our brain and our flourishing overall, and also our well-being. So this we need to work together to ensure this is working properly. And then obviously here, how to harness this brain capital for economic policy. We need to think at a horizontal level. So include brain at all policies that we can think of. Of course, the most obvious ones are healthcare policies, but beyond this, not only in terms of treatment, and the core, it's about prevention. So prevention means that we could prevent certain diseases, brain diseases and brain deteriorations, and we can avoid them, particularly if we do early warning systems, and then it will allow us to see things before and then try to deal with it at a much less cost. So of course, for example, healthcare policy should also include some preventive measures, and that will allow us to, in fact, move forward in that direction in a proactive manner. And then education, long life learning. We are moving into an aging population where I think things are moving very fast, for example, with the artificial intelligence and so on. And then this means that we need to have lifelong learning, which will allow us to develop some more cognitive functions and more capabilities in our brains, for example, in terms of critical thinking, emotional intelligence, and all these aspects that we need to develop in collaboration with the neuroscientists. And then, of course, we need to give the appropriate incentives in terms of financial policy, in terms of economic policy to enhance this development, and also in terms of the private sector development, where the private sector not only talks about or maximizes profit in terms of financial capital, but also maximizing the brain capital for the cohort of people they have. And this means that they have to think in a different way, which is much more beyond financial value. And obviously, there are other aspects which, in terms of healthy lifestyles, that will enhance our capability, our cognitive functions. And there is a lot of research in this aspect. So with this, this gives a little bit of an overview. So our claim of brain economy for many regions, in Catalonia, for example, or many other places, puts the brain capital in the center. And then this means practically we need to invest more and leverage more on brain-related resources, like, for example, cognitive capabilities, emotional and mental health, neurological health, and social skills and collaboration. So really putting the human being in the center of the construction for well-being, for economic resilience and societal challenges. And this is not only for countries that are developed, but also in emerging markets where there is a huge youth population that need to be really not only educated, but then put within this context of a great, I would say, brain dividend. And I think the case of brain dividend also means that this will be a lever of a determinant of economic growth, economic productivity, but also overall well-being. So this is not about economic issues and making money out of the brain, but rather everything becomes endogenous. And this is a complete change of paradigm, which we are thinking that will respond systematically to what we need in terms of the societal challenges that we are facing nowadays. So this is the proposal that we have as economists in collaboration with our colleagues, neuroscientists. And with this, I would like to turn to Marta, and you are the director of WeMind cluster here in Catalonia. It's a great to have this partnership with you. So I give you the floor to see what you think about all of this, and what in practice, since you are working on this every day, how all of these ideas will sound for you, please.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Rim, for the nice introduction. Esteemed guests and colleagues, a privilege to speak today at this Health Revolution Congress. Thanks to Improfit and our partner EMEA to invite us today to try to land the theory that Rim has overall briefly but concrete explained, and how we can develop in Catalonia, which is a hub for mental health and neuroinnovation. We think that we have strong assets in research, healthcare, and history, but we also, I wouldn't say gaps, but I would see more that as an opportunities to access mental health and the integration of these innovation tools across the whole sectors. So today, I would like to introduce you to WeMind cluster and how can we help and support this Catalonia's Brain Economy Plan to address these challenges and harness as well our strengths to be a more resilient and inclusive future. To do so, first of all, let me just play a short video. It's a 2-minute video. Next. If it works, it never works.
Imagine a person's lifelong enjoyment of maximum well-being and personal autonomy. even while managing some functional loss of their central nervous system. Achieving this is possible through a broad, multidisciplinary and holistic approach to health that integrates mental health, neurosciences, and healthy aging. The personal autonomy sector encompasses a wide range of public and private organizations. It is a diverse industry that, in Catalonia, as in other countries, is growing steadily. Over the past 5 years, the number of companies dedicated to personal autonomy has tripled. With a turnover of around €9 billion, nearly 4% of Catalonia's GDP, these companies employ around 62,000 people. Moreover, we live in an increasingly aging society, with rising mental health issues and a growing prevalence of chronic conditions. Faced with this scenario, how can we address these future challenges? WeMind Cluster is an ecosystem that brings together service companies, health and social care providers, public administration, the third sector, and education, knowledge, and research centres. Together, they work to improve the sector's competitiveness. WeMind Cluster drives strategic change by promoting innovation, internationalization, shared value, talent development, and knowledge dissemination. It is a diverse, heterogeneous, professional, expert, and pioneering space that advocates for a more social cluster model, placing users at the center of its value chain. After a decade of successful milestones, certifications, and recognized initiatives, a broad portfolio of business services that continues to grow and diversify, with more than 100 member organizations. WeMind Cluster is the key to the future. Join us.
Just as a brief presentation, not to take too long, you have seen us as a hub for driving innovation in longevity, mental health, and neurosciences. Catalonia has a dynamic life sciences and healthcare ecosystem. We have more than what you have seen in the video, which shows all of this about this perimeter. We count with 1,500 companies and 93 research institutions. So as an asset, Catalonia is well positioned to be a hub for biotech, medtech, and digital health innovation. The sector together generates an economic impact equivalent to 7.6% of Catalonia's GDP, the whole health. And despite these strong assets that you have seen now in the slide, we can identify as well some, I would say, health gaps, but I would see them more as an opportunity. So what we have foreseen is that there is still unequal access to mental health care, particularly for vulnerable groups like elderly, youth, and marginalized populations. There is still a lack of awareness about mental health, so we still try to find out solutions and minimize the stigma. Sometimes this has not been identified itself as a sector, so there is still a limited cross-sector collaboration, and that's something that we are stepping over with the support of the other clusters here in Catalonia. And the aging population, which is a demographic fact, that this brings new challenges in cognitive care and autonomy linked to what Rim has explained before. So, which is our role here as a partner? We work with these three maximize perimeter. It's health, but it's longevity, it's social and community services, and we try to focus on the personalized assistance. So we work on value change, which still start in promotion, follows with prevention, and then treatment if necessary, taking into consideration social and labor inclusion when it is possible. All life through lifespan of every single citizen. In our distribution, in our ecosystems, as shown in the video as well, we try to hold as maximum diversity and multidisciplinarity when we talk about the 4 helix. So we try to hold every view of these agents, hospital, research centers, elderly care centers as well, universities and academia. Public institutions are present as well to work with us, where we try to introduce, for example, this brain transition economy into policy topics, tech companies and pharmaceutical firms. Which is the role? So the role of WeMind cluster, we try to be a key player addressing these challenges, following these opportunities and creating this ecosystem. So we can drive innovation and economic growth in brain health and neuro through the public and private collaboration, generating different projects. We try to work in different aspects of talent, innovative projects, like, for example, Mindsys, which is a purpose data space that will be created by the end of this year under the rules of European health data spaces for the European Union, where we can try to mix all these collaborations into digital and AI algorithms to work, not to work in silos, defragmented this ecosystem, but bringing all data together and bringing value as well for the dashboard, for the different indicators, and trying to see which kind of innovation can we extract when mixing and ingesting different data, from open data to even social data, because we try to work always with this social impact. Which actions we can take as a cluster? We try to leverage the power of this collaboration, try to transform these support projects into real impact. So we try to force the strengthening of the networks with this international benchmarking, as we are doing today here, but also moving forward into different international missions to benchmark what is being done here and in other more advanced ecosystems in terms of brain capital transition. We can co-create with all the agents that we have in our scope, and we try to validate our data through these Mindsys data spaces. So we will continue to grow the network, to raise awareness about the importance of this brain health all through lifespan, and to foster innovation. What we think is that we can recognize, that's it, my last sentence, recognize brain capital as a priority, so we can unlock this economic potential, the improve life quality, and build a more resilient and inclusive society. We are fully committed to this mission. We will invite you to join us in this transformative effort, so we can ensure that this proposal can lead Catalonia in advancing brain health and creating a healthier and smarter, prosperous future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marta. This also really resonates very much into the transformative approach, and also the system change thinking that we are trying to put forward. And I think with the cluster you have, it could be also a use case within other regions of the world to follow. Because as you mentioned, there is still some sort of stigma on mental health issues. And our view is mental health should not impede a possibility to improve our mental health. So it's really something that we need to work proactively on, and at the same time connect to education policy and skills development. Nowadays, the skill set that we need is not the skill set that we used to need in the past. So this is completely different. Nowadays, we need to have more skills in terms of strategic thinking, emotional intelligence, connections, how to solve problems, complex problems. Our society is needing solutions for complex problems. Complex problems cannot have unilateral thinking, silo thinking. So in fact, our models, and again, I'm an economist, are practically simple models. It's almost one or two variables models on the basis of which we base our economic policies. And this cannot continue. So we need to have a complete paradigm shift. And here with this, I would like to introduce my colleague, Harris Ayer. Harris is the lead of this Brain Capital Alliance. He is a senior fellow at the Neuropolicy Rice University Baker's Institute for Public Policy. And he has been, in fact, working a lot on this movement. And now this movement is going global, thanks to all the efforts that have been put together. And he is the Euro-Mediterranean Economists Association Senior Advisor on this specific field that we are working on. And he also senior advisor to the McKinsey Health Institute and visiting scholar at the Wharton Neuroscience Initiative. So in the United States, they also have launched a great initiative in Texas on brain, and they put a lot of money on it, and they are in the process to launch it. So things are moving, Harris. Great to see you on screen. The floor is yours.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Rim, and thanks to Marta for your remarks. And I'm glad to be here with you all today. I'm zooming in from America. I'm sorry I can't be there in person. I wish I was. Let me today give you some perspectives from our global activities and say that we're very glad at the global level to be supportive of opportunities in Catalonia in your region. So just let us know what you need. This at a global level is a big challenge when we look at the cost of mental health and neurological issues across the lifespan. It's about $3.5 trillion a year. That's in lost productivity and in healthcare costs. And so this is all the mental and neurological issues across the lifespan, from autism to dyslexia to depression to Alzheimer's disease, multiple sclerosis. So it's all those conditions added up. And what we know is that this cost is rising at about 3% a year. So we have a very big issue, and I would consider it a bit of a runaway train. And what we're trying to do right now to deal with this in silos, in disciplinary silos, as doctors, as scientists, as business people, is obviously not sufficient. So this means that we do need systems change. And hence the brain economy we have developed partly to try to bend down this escalating cost curve. This is the kind of scale of economic challenge that may significantly dent the economies of major countries around the world in the coming years. So we need to do something differently, and we need to start to act urgently. And it's also the cost of these brain health conditions is coming at a time when brain skills are extremely important. They're more important now than ever. We live in the age of intelligence, the age of artificial intelligence. And so our brains are essential to our future success in inventing the future, in managing a changing economy and a changing world. So data here from the World Economic Forum on core brain skills needed in 2025, analytical thinking is number one, flexibility and agility number two, creativity is number 4. So brain skills are really important. And a business person in Houston reflected back to me, who's the chair of the Chamber of Commerce, said, so our brains are in the red right when we need them in the black. I think that's a good encapsulation of what is happening right now. Our brains are in the red right when we need them in the black. Again, pointing towards systems change. And so I just want to visually outline for you that we do need to think about how do we build brain capital across the lifespan. We need to think about this from preconception to conception to the fetal stage of brain development, first 1,000 days, all the way through to later life. And this is a nice visualization that demonstrates that there are, of course, things that we can do in the green that are going to improve our brain capital, and things that are in amber that are impeding our brain capital. And I think you'll see with the next speaker, Mika, about how Finland is doing this, which is a wonderful model for Catalonia to learn from. So this is all what we have in front of us. And of course, we need to recognize that the brain economy needs to change with each sector. We need to think about the education sector, the health sector, the aging sector, internet, climate, food systems. All of these sectors are influencing our brains for good or bad. And we need to think through methodologically how we are going to shift those sectors from brain negative to brain positive. So brain capital, we do think, is a meaningful driver of economic growth in the brain economy. Brain health, just to level set, I've explained to you before, is mental health and neurological issues, and it's looking at a more holistic way of encompassing mental health and neurology and including prevention and brain strengths. Brain capital is brain health and brain skills. Brain capital is the new asset that we are proposing. And we propose that brain capital should be as important as GDP, as important as road and bridge infrastructure. We want to see brain capital talked about on the nightly news by the news anchors. And the brain economy is this economy that is shifting from brain negative to brain positive, how we unlock more brain capital and more brain power for citizens. So we do have methodologies to understand the brain economy and to advance it and measure it. And we have a wonderful global brain capital dashboard that has been developed under the leadership of EMEA and RIM. And Tiago will talk about this at some length, so I'm going to leave that to him. I won't steal his thunder. It's a great way that we're starting to measure and track brain capital country by country, and we certainly could develop this just for Catalonia with Catalonia data. We're also building out a brain economy systems change lab. So this is looking sector by sector at 3 to 5 shifts that we want to see in the sector to shift the sector from brain negative to brain positive. So in the food sector, for example, what are we doing to eliminate malnutrition? What are we doing to significantly reduce ultra-processed foods? What are we doing to reduce pesticide consumption? We need to shift those issues from negative to positive for our brains. And then we, of course, need to develop targets. How do we know what we're aiming for? And then indicators to measure ourselves against those targets and to track progress. And so we are doing this work globally, but again, this can easily be tailored to the Catalonian context because, of course, the change we need to see in Catalonia is different to the change we need to see in Texas or in Australia, for example. Everyone has a different context. We are rallying investment community around this. If we do really want to change things, we need to not just think about research and data and policy and regulation. We also need to think about investing. How do we get a return on investment? How do we attract trillions of dollars of private capital that's on the sidelines of the global economy into the field to try to boost brain power? And so one of the groups that we're very proud to be working with is your public bank, the European Investment Bank. We convened a wonderful meeting a couple of months ago with the European Investment Bank. This was in Luxembourg at the bank headquarters. We talked about investing in a European brain economy. So I think, again, because you're in Europe, the European Investment Bank is your bank and could be involved in the Catalonia context. Other players that we had in the room with the EIB included big multinational companies. You can see there, pharmaceutical, biotech, medical device companies, and big think tanks like the World Economic Forum and philanthropies like the Wellcome Trust. So it's wonderful to see that that these players are recognizing we need something different if we're going to improve brain and mental health. And so they're working with us to think through how do you do these investments. And this is across asset classes, from government grants to venture capital to startup acceleration to private equity to bonds and other forms of infrastructure investment, clinics, imaging centers, prevention strategies, built environment infrastructure. The brain economy work is definitely reached a tipping point in the global economic thinking. We were delighted in January that the World Economic Forum created a roundtable on the brain economy. It was highly successful. We also had a standalone brain house at the World Economic Forum where we had players from all around the world talking about the brain economy and thinking through solutions and how to move this forward. And so it was very successful. And again, part of how we're advancing and refining the brain economy and engaging more people in the movement from the public sector, from the private sector, and from philanthropy. We're delighted to know that after Davos in January, the World Economic Forum announced that they are taking this on more fully. They have a Brain Economy Action Forum now, which is a series of high-level events between now and the next Davos. And I think Recinte will be going to one of the meetings next week in Geneva at the World Health Assembly. And the World Economic Forum will also be launching a Brain Economy Insights report at the next Davos. So anything that we do in Catalonia is being watched by the World Economic Forum. They will want to be showcasing what we're doing in Catalonia, and vice versa through EMEA, your think tank in the room there. You're going to be taking all the lessons from the World Economic Forum and applying them to the Catalonian context. And McKinsey Health Institute, which is a non-profit arm of McKinsey & Company, is very supportive of all of this. Here's just another nice overview to show you that there are big organizations taking this work seriously. So here we have the American Heart Association, which is a 100-year-old organization in America. It has a large operating budget of over $1 billion a year, and they are thinking about how do we go from heart policy to brain health and brain capital policy. Of course, the heart and the brain are inextricably linked, and the ways that we prevent heart disease is the same ways that we prevent dementia. And so here, as you can see, a nice heads-up display of the American Heart Association thinking through in different stages of life how they can enact brain capital policy. And we're delighted to be collaborating with the American Heart Association and other players in Texas. We're working on a $3 billion dementia prevention bill. It's called the DPRIT, Dementia Prevention Research Institute of Texas. That bill has just passed out of the House and Senate of Texas. It's now going to a statewide referendum. So that's for $3 billion of dementia prevention funding. We're confident that that will be approved and Texas will become a global leader in dementia prevention. Just so you know, as Rim mentioned, Houston, Texas is extremely advanced when it comes to the brain economy. We have a big meeting next week for 2 days in Houston with a range of stakeholders from public, private, and philanthropic to advance the Houston brain economy strategy. And this is, again, in collaboration with the World Economic Forum and other players. You're welcome to, if you're interested to see how this could happen in Catalonia, I think the Houston model is helpful. The Houston agenda and speakers and themes that we'll be talking about to advance the brain economy is on the website if you're interested. And it's important to know that in Houston, why are we having success? I think it's because we do have groups there from different sectors. We have Chamber of Commerce, we have think tanks, we have universities, we have medical systems, we have private companies. They're all coming together and aligning around this. And so I think given what, example in the room with WeMind and EMEA, you already have great stakeholders at the table in Catalonia to make this happen. The brain economy work is global and accelerating. I already showed you a little bit about the World Economic Forum. You're seeing Mika speaking here today with you from Finland, but we have activities all around the world in Latin America and in Africa, and pretty much most countries now we have engagement. So this is how we're mobilizing the movement for the brain economy to get more actors moving in the same direction. And then to boil this down for you, it can be maybe a little bit overwhelming. We were very happy to say that we did a 4-day executive education course on the brain economy about a month ago, and that was in Paris, France, under the auspices of Rice University. And we took folks from different sectors through the brain economy playbook for 4 days, and Rim was one of the faculty there. And here are the topics that we covered, and glad to say that this was successful and enjoyed and appreciated by all of the participants. We covered the history of the brain economy, new economic thinking, so reforming neoliberalism or modifying neoliberalism, advances in brain-machine interface or brain-computer interface, ethics. We covered basic and common brain health innovations, the role of politics, how do you write for policy, impact investing. We covered the workforce issues, so workforce suicide issues, workforce depression, workforce anxiety, workforce neurodiversity, and then systems change strategy. And ultimately, participant executive came away with a customized action plan for their organization. And so that's how this really worked for us in a real world setting with over 4 days. And I could imagine us, in the spirit of the Catalonian brain economy strategy that you're developing, we could repeat this in Catalonia once or twice or 3 times to try to support the alignment and awareness of leaders across Catalonia to engage in the brain economy movement, just to make sure everyone has the same level of understanding, awareness, and proficiency in the brain economy. So thank you very much. That's all I wanted to present. This is our global activities. And again, we're glad to support you in Catalonia.
Thank you very much, Harris. This gives a great overview on where we are. And I think the Catalonia case is very essential because, in fact, we have the data for Catalonia, so we can have some granularity there on the regions of Spain, and eventually also try to do some assessment per region. Perhaps by your forum in November, we can produce something nice for Catalonia, and probably we can start already presenting the System Change Lab for this region. So without further ado, because the guys are telling me I'm out of time, like always, Tiago, he's a researcher at EMEA and has been working on the dashboard. So just a few words on the dashboard and the System Change Lab, just to give an idea to the audience what we have been doing. And this is, of course, a work in progress. And it's freely accessible, so it doesn't need to have any subscription and so on. So it's all data freely accessible, please.
Thank you, Rim. It's really 3 minutes. Okay, it's a pleasure to be here and sharing a bit of the research that we do with everyone in the room. So the idea of my presentation was more to show how we are trying to incorporate this Systems Change Lab approach to the Global Brain Capital Dashboard. After all, if we are really having a vision of the brain economy transition that we would like to have in the future, we need to find ways to measure and to track these goals, right? So moving very quickly, as I have 3 minutes. So what you see here is the current state of the Global Brain Capital dashboard that we have on our website. This was designed as a visual tool to better guide policymakers, researchers, and all interested stakeholders to better understand the conceptual framework of brain capital. So what you see here is this interactive map. With our team, we have collected more than 60 indicators, and they fall into the three main pillars of the brain economy, as we said, the brain health, brain skills, and brain capital drivers. And what you see here selected is it's one of the indicators that is under brain capital driver, which is the death rate from air pollution. And the map is great because it gives us a good base and cross-country comparison. So this is all national level data from, as Rim said, public available data, so sources like UN, the WHO, OECD. And what we see here, for example, we can see with the legend and the scale, the countries, for example, Sub-Saharan Africa, they have worse indicators than in Europe and not in the US, for example. But then the idea, the goal that we have is we are trying to refine the dashboard and make it more interactive and more granular. So the first stage of this improvement that we are doing is to develop the tracking panel. So here, instead of the map, we are seeing this time series trend. Again, the same indicator, death rate from air pollution in Spain. And the idea is to see how Spain, for example, has been improving this indicator. So the first data that we have on 1990, the indicator was above 30, and now in the most recent, it's almost 10. And another idea for us is to try to project for further years, for example, in 2030, to see how Spain is trending, if it's trending in the right direction, the wrong direction. And as Harry said, we will need to identify these thresholds and goals to really check how countries are behaving. So this is still at the country level, but then if we would like to move to a more sectoral way, then we could use the example of Nature Capital, that Systems Change Lab project that is funded by Bezos Earth Foundation is doing, to help us to translate what they do to brain capital. So here, very quickly, the methodology that they use, they are selecting several sectors, and the goal that they have as sustainable transition is to keep Earth temperature below 1.5 grad Celsius in 2030, right? So for the sector of forests and lands, they have identified these 6 shifts. And for example, in the deforestation, in 2023, the data that we have on deforestation as million hectares per year was above 5. And for us to reach the target of keeping the Earth temperature below 1.5 grad Celsius in 2035, we'll need to reduce this number by 72%. So this gives us a very concrete and actionable way to measure and to see if we are going the right or the wrong direction. So this is the idea, to use this methodology, but for brain economy. And we have already started to map some sectors, for example, as Harry said, education, brain skills, nutrition, physical activity, which I think is very interesting for our purposes today. And just to finalize very quick, this is what we are now trying to incorporate as part of the Brain Capital dashboard. We have been looking at several indicators from Eurostat, WHO, and Eurobarometer to include them hopefully very soon in the dashboard that you may access with the QR code that I think is going to be somewhere, not there, but you can access the website and see it.
Thank you. Great timing. Thank you very much, Tiago. As I mentioned, this is a work in progress, and as economists, we have a bunch of toolbooks in which we can also build brain capital indicators with the data we have. We are able to, I wouldn't say rate, because that's not about rating, but rather understand relatively where countries are and what are the improvements that need to be done on brain health and brain skills and well-being economy. And this is essential because, for example, there are many indicators that we are now testing to include in our dashboard. For example, the consumption of certain medications or any other indicators that could show the mental health overall of a country and of a nation. And in my view, as I mentioned, we always take a systemic approach rather than a silo approach. And this is for us quite interesting to look at the processes also. And this is why the System Change Lab will allow us to look at the processes and what to do to improve situations, for example, of the workplace or overall. And this is essential for the work we're doing. Our last speaker is Mika Pikko. He's Executive Director of the Finnish Brain Association. And in Finland, they already have the brain plan for Finland, and one of the first countries in Europe who have put this in place. Mika, great to see you on screen, and we're all ears to listen to you.
Thank you for the nice invitation. Do you hear me now?
Yes. Yes, we hear you.
Okay. Yes, thank you for the nice invitation, and see my slides now. I suppose that you see my slides. So it's my great pleasure to be with you, yes. And I would really like to be there in Barcelona, here in rainy and grey Finland, but what can you do? So I do my best now to tell very briefly what we have done in terms of National Brain Health Program in Finland. And in fact, if we would name our program today, we would name it National Brain Capital Program. So when we started this, we didn't know too much about the concept brain capital and so on. But anyway, when we started to prepare this program in 2022, we had few principles, and one was that we wanted to create and develop impact-based program, which means that we have to have measurable goals. And then we really wanted to emphasize on a proactive approach. So we took and we take the word health and capital very seriously. So to be honest, we are a little bit surprised sometimes when we are using the term brain health, but instead of talking about brain health, we are talking about brain conditions and that kind of things. I will come this back to in my slides. And so we wanted to have also the program in our system that which wouldn't be just one program there, and then there will be some other programs. So we wanted to be a part of the larger whole, what we are doing here in Finland in terms of health and well-being promotion and that kind of things. And we prepared this program together with about 50 different experts representing different organization, different science people. There were people from educational background and so on. Altogether about 50 different experts who were working in different working groups. One working group was focusing on children and youth and families. One focused on working age people, and one focused on the elderly, and the fourth one was that working group. And our starting point was really, as I already mentioned, very much proactive approach. And we took, as I mentioned, also very seriously term brain health or brain capital. So I would, as a social scientist, I would say that we are focusing very much on executive functions of brain, or however you want to say starting points. And this is the conclusion of our expert work in 2022. We are saying that our long-term impact goal is humanly sustainable brain health supportive society. And then we 4 different outcome goals, which we have to achieve in order to be able to create a humanly sustainable community that supports brain health. So here you can see our 4 outcome goals. And of course, we know that there are a lot of other, let's say, more traditional things like physical activity, health, nutrition, and that kind of things, which are, of course, basic elements of brain health and also brain capital. But our experts told and said that these four perspectives are unused at the moment in our society. And if we are focusing on those four outcome goals, we are able to really create additional value in terms of brain health, brain capital, and in terms of general health and well-being in our society. And here you can see our coordinator partners, and our main expert is Professor Kaisa Hartekainen, who is a neurologist and working for the University of Helsinki at the moment. But we have also, as you see, 5 different organizations together with whom we are planning how to implement and this program, what to do in practice in order to be able to achieve those goals. And what we want to create is this kind of ecosystem. I call this impact ecosystem. And before Brain Association, I was working in terms of impact investing 8 years. And so this coming from that world. So we really want to have joint and understandable impact goal, and then those outcome goals. And behind those outcome goals, there can be a lot of different kind of activities with which we want to achieve, or we think that we are able to achieve the outcomes goals, and then the final impact goal in the longer term. And here you can see an example of age group specific outcome chain, how we think that there's a need for enhancing brain health or brain capital, and then there's an impact goal modified from that perspective, working age population perspective, then outcome goals again modified from that perspective, and then some ideas what we should do in practice. But at the end of the day, that current coordination group decide that what we are doing in practice, and then we are asking that kind of suitable and needed partners to join and doing those things, those measures in practice. So this is very much that kind of network working. And what we have done in practice here, you can see some examples, and what we have focused.
Mika, can you please show the slides correctly, because we only see the back, the first one.
Still.
Yes, just press on presentation mode.
Sorry.
Yeah, don't worry.
Sorry. But here I can see. Wait a second.
Okay, don't worry, because we only have 3 minutes left.
Yes.
Okay, don't worry, you can continue.
Do you see now?
Okay.
Yes. Do you see now?
Yes.
Now you see the slide.
Yeah, this is number 2.
Yeah, but so I can go to either. So here's some examples what we have done.
Perfect.
So what we have done in practice. Hope you can share these slides afterwards. And then, but anyway, we have focused very much on digital devices, because as in many countries, we have been talking very much in Finland how much our children should and could use different digital devices. And so we published that kind of research-based screen time recommendation for children, youth, and adults a few months ago. And we have been asked to give our opinion to our parliament, a lot of our other official organizations from that perspective. And here you can see also what else we have done. And last year we have a theme year of the sleep. We were working with, for example, with the Finnish parliament. We focused on the sleep of the MPs, but also those civil servants. And of course, we wanted to give those MPs the idea of what brain health, brain capital could mean in practice, in order to influence them to take that into account when they are doing that legislation work. And now this year is the brain economics theme year, and we are doing different kind of happenings and different kind of training and so on in terms of this perspective this year. And this is my last slide. So from our perspective, when we are talking about brain capital or brain economy, we should be able to combine maybe these 4 different angles. First, we have to be able and focus on enhancing brain health. Really, the brain health should be seen as an asset, and we should increase on strength of that. And then, of course, we have to, at the same time, prevent preventable brain disorders, ill health, and then develop neurological and other treatments. And what we see very important to connect brain health and mental health approaches much better than we are able to do at the moment, at least in Finland. But really, we focus on enhancing brain health, and because we see that brain should be understood very much as an asset. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mika. This is very clear. I think the brain health must be an asset, and this is what we are claiming at for our economic growth and productivity. So I would like to thank all the speakers, knowing also that there will be a delegation from Catalonia to visit Finland, and it would be very interesting also to connect with Mika